So this week we'll be cooking shrimp, and I'm pretty excited because I like shrimp, but I've never actually cooked it. This week I'll be testing the effect that the cooking time has on the shrimp. So I'll be cooking one 4.5 minutes total after addition into the boiling pot. And then I will be cooking one for 4.5 minutes, but only after a simmer is reached. So I'll see what the difference is in the finished product. So I'll be making 2 batches of shrimp. I have 2 onions, 2 lemons, 2 bags of shrimp, salt, and 2 boiling bags. I'll be testing the effect that the cooking time has on the shrimp, as I'll be cooking one batch for 4.5 minutes total and the other half for 4.5 minutes only after a simmer is achieved. So I'll be quartering the onion and the lemon, and they'll boil in the water to give it the shrimp a good flavor. So here are the 2 pots of water that I have, and I've added 6 cups of water total to each. And here I've added the lemon and the onion into the pots. So I've added each of the seasoning packets, and I switched to a larger pot to give myself more room, and I've started the boiling process. So a boil has been reached, and the heat from the boiling water denatures the cell membranes in the onion and the lemon, releasing their water content. Pectin substances are converted to their water-soluble form, which also helps with the flavor of the water. I've also prepped an ice bath, which later will be used to cool down the shrimp. I'll place some of the boiling mixture in there in a minute after a simmer is reached. A simmer has been achieved in both of the pots, and I'll take 2 cups from each of the pots and place them into the ice bath to cool them down. So here's the cooled boiling mixture. After I'm done cooking the shrimp, I'll be putting them in this mixture to help cool down as well. I've added an additional 6 cups of water to each pot and will begin to heat them to a boil. So each pot has reached a boiling point. In the pot on the left, I'll be adding the shrimp in and start my 4.5 minute timer, but only after a simmer has been achieved. With the pot on the right, I will also turn the heat down, but start the 4.5 minute timer immediately after I add the shrimp. So I've added a bag of shrimp to each pot, and the pot where I've started the timer only after a simmer was reached has only been cooking for about an extra minute or so compared to the one where I started the timer immediately. So the shrimp has finished cooking, and I've placed them in the ice bath to cool down. This one was cooked for 4.5 minutes total, and this one was cooked for 4.5 minutes only after a simmer was reached. The shrimp has become opaque. This is due to the denaturation of the proteins by heat. These proteins unwind, they're straightened out, and they link with their neighbors to form a new net that no longer lets light through, causing them to become opaque. This straightened out net of proteins causes the proteins to bind closer together, which also shrinks the shrimp. Overall, each batch of shrimp tastes pretty similar. However, there is a little bit of a texture difference between the two. So I finished the shrimp cooking video for this week, and I thought the flavor of both batches of shrimp were pretty similar. There wasn't a huge difference I found, but there was a decent difference texturally. So the shrimp that was only in for 4.5 minutes total was, I guess, a decent amount softer. Nothing crazy, but it was noticeable. The simmered shrimp, the 4.5 minutes that I took out after the simmer was reached, was much, I guess, crisper. Kind of like eating a grape almost. Like once you bit into it, it was kind of juicier. It withheld water better. It was harder to pull apart, which makes sense because it seemed like there was more water in it, so it was kind of tougher. It was almost chewier. But all in all, I think they both kind of tasted the same, but I did prefer the texture of the simmered shrimp a little bit more, just because I guess it was more satisfying and it seemed like it retained a little bit more of the water, which had a lot of flavor. So yeah, I think overall it was a success. However, I did use medium-sized shrimp, which was, I think, a big mistake because they were pretty small. They might be good for shrimp scampi, but if you were just eating shrimp, I should have used the larger shrimp. But other than that, I think it went pretty well.